Hello and welcome back to my garage. Today, still in the shop, my mother's car. Like I said in the other video, it didn't pass the annual safety check and we already replaced the springs, but we also need to replace the, um, well, how do I say it? I am going to replace the tie rod ends. It was not that it was a failure to pass the test, but it was a point of interest. Yeah, I do think it is called a point of interest. But of course, I'm going to replace it anyway, because I'm going to replace the steering boot on the, in this case, the left-hand side uh, of the car. I already replaced the right side of the car a couple of years ago. So now we are going to do the left side, and because I need to remove that tie rod end anyway, I'm just going to slap a new one on there. They're dirt cheap. I do believe I paid €8 for each. So that's not really the costs. But of course I have here 4 different types. The reason is I didn't know exactly what was underneath the car. Of course I could have watched my other video and I probably would have figured out what I needed, but this was the more easier route. So yeah, I do think it's this one by looking at it. This one is for power steering and this car doesn't have power steering, I believe. So and the other 2, yeah, I don't know. These 4 are maybe for an other brand rack and pinions, maybe, don't know. But I do believe we need to replace this one. I'm not going to make a separate video about that, because yeah, I already did one on this car on the other side and are different. Of course, on the other side I already removed and replaced the tie rod end also. But I don't think I made a separate video about it. Yeah, it's all about the video. So it is not too complicated of a job. So let's get to work. Here of course we have the steering boot, and as you can see it is just ripped off. Well, I made it a little bit more worse than it was, but as you can see it's just gone. That's what we need to do. There are in this case some metal, let's call it zip ties, but some we need to snip off, and of course on the other end as well. I probably cannot show you. So let's get, and of course the focus isn't on this thing. We're going to get this off first, and then we're going to remove the tie rod. Well, I can get to it quite easy from the... So first of all, what I like to do before even removing this is just to crack this this nut at the back. Just crack it. That's just enough. Just like so. There are a couple of ways to get this in a ballpark, because after replacing tie rods, it's probably a good thing to, well, do an alignment. So there are a couple of things what you can do is that measure from this point to a known point. What I mostly do is, yeah, from here to normally, well, where the boot sits, but in this case I could just measure it from here. And that is of course the distance what we want to achieve later on also. Or else our tires are going to be bald before even getting to the alignment shop. So you want to get it in the ballpark and then go to an alignment shop. But this is a stop, so we do know that, well, if we turn it to here, it is just fine. And the second thing what I'm going to do is, so I'm not going to measure it, and the second thing what I'm going is count the threads. That is my way to go, especially when, but there is a problem with that, and that is be sure that these parts are the same. because I did happen in the past that even if it just fits, that, well, maybe this body is just a little bit smaller, maybe a half a centimeter. And of course then your thread count is going to be off. But in this case, I do know that this is exactly the same, so I'm going to count the threads. If not, the measuring thing is of course just as good. But now that this one is loose, we're going to remove this nut, and this is a 17. It is probably spinning, at least it feels like it's spinning, because it's already dropped, and that's can be a little bit of a problem, because now the shaft is spinning, and normally it's just held in place by well, this joint or the knuckle itself due to a press fit. So but we're now not as lucky. It happens. What I mostly do is just put a little bit of pressure underneath this, and in this case what I'm going to do is just a bottle jack. Most of the times it is just enough to get a little bit of pressure on there to get it loose. And also just a little whack with a hammer just on this thing here to, well, help it seat. Now, if we're lucky, we can just get it over there. And of course we don't. It did go a little bit further, at least it looks like it. And again, just a little bit more. We can repeat this, and hopefully we get it off. The other thing, of course, what you could do is just cut this off, and we're done. So maybe that's the better thing to do, or a bolt splitter. Let us do it the hard way. And then, if we're pissed off enough, we're going to do it the right way. Let's cut it off. And now we can just bop this off. Normally you can use a pickup fork when it's really stuck. Of course, you're just hammering it on top, it probably would solve also the issue. But just using a pickup fork like this, just wedge it in there with, of course, a good hammer, then it will pop loose. And because I already replaced these a while ago, I don't know how long ago, these are definitely not stuck because I greased them. Yeah, I did replace these things, I do think, before I started the YouTube channel. Of course, what I said was I'm going to count, and that's what I'm going to do. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 21. The other side was also 21. So, again, some ceramic grease or anti-seize, just what you want to use. Just some normal grease, so would also help. So, 21. 1, 2, 3, 4, 21. So technically it should be at the same spot as before. Of course, you don't want to turn this shaft, so you have to be careful with that. So we're going to put this into place. We're not going to tighten it up yet. Well, maybe we do. Don't know yet. Yeah, why not? Let's do it. It's easier to tighten this one up again. Just a little bit ceramic grease, yes. And now, if you're lucky, you can. There is now enough friction because that thing is new to just drive it in there with a impact. If not, if that's not the case, then you will see that here in the top is this an Allen? Yeah, it is a Allen. In this case, a Allen 5. And then you can just get your spanner and tighten this up. But as you can see, it is not going anywhere because the threads are new. We did use a little bit of anti-seize, but normally I just get an impact and just drive it down. But in this case, let's do it like this. What you could do is, if you need to do some work on the car and you don't want to change the ball joint because, well, this boot is broken and you want to reuse that tie rod end because last week you just replaced it, or maybe last year. So you don't want to replace it. What you could do, because this is also when you want to remove it and it spins in place, you don't want to damage it more than it has, because you don't want to damage it. What you could do is just get a little bit of grease and just fill that that hole there. So next time you need to get it off, it is not all rusted out. It just helps. I made a big mistake. Do you know what kind of mistake I made? I forget that boot. Oh man. Okay. This is a 13, by the way. And And indeed it was this one. So let it get it on there. Maybe just a little bit of silicone paste just in here, so get it on there easier. So, I will deal with that boot later. So, 21. So, nobody has seen it. So now we're going to tighten up this nut again. So, and that's it. Well, of course, I need to put some tie rips on the boot. The kit came with just normal tie rips, not those metal ones. So this is good enough. I hate it when people leave those sharp edges on those things. So let's do the other side, and we're done. Well, of course the wheel has to be put in its place. So there you have it, how to change a tie rod end on a Renault Clio Model 2. Yeah, this is a Model 2 indeed. So not really complicated. Just be sure that you get your right one. So if you're only replacing the left one or the right one, be sure that you get the right one for the side, because these are not, you cannot swap them. There is a left one and a right one out there, so they're not the same. So be sure to do that. And other than that, of course, we replaced the boot. Well, that was indeed the one that I thought it was. The other one are going back in the box and back to the store. Straightforward job. Yeah, I did it twice, the tie rod end, because, well, I forgot the boot. Oh well, stuff like that happens. No harm done, just a little bit of time lost. Like I said before, a alignment is definitely a must. It's of course up to you if you want to do that or not. But this car is definitely going to get an alignment, because, well, we also did the springs, and well, we did remove the whole shock stuff. I am done with this car, so I do think it also got some new tires on there. It was also a point of interest, not that it had to be done, but I thought, well, let's do it, because I thought it definitely would be a point of failure, but it was just in the margin of error. So it got some new tires at the front, and I do believe the only thing I have to do is I do believe a light bulb. Let's see. We call it city light, stadslicht. So I don't know what it is exactly in the English, but right front. So I'm going to replace that. And then we have everything done. Yeah. So yeah, that's it for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed it, or at least learned something from it. If you did, please give it a like. If you want to follow me around, you know what to do. And I will see you next time. Bye.